Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing episode 3 of Euphoria on HBO. So this show has obviously been hallmarked by being extremely graphic, and that's obviously all the news you've been hearing about it. And this episode definitely follows that trend, but I think this may be the best episode so far when it comes to the storytelling elements of the show. In this episode, we see Kat kind of take control of her image. You know, in the previous episodes that, a video leaked involving her, and then she realizes that, hey, I can kind of profit from this and benefit from this, and you learn about her past and her secret online life and how she deals with what happened to her as a child. And it's kind of cool seeing this character take charge, even if it is in a little more graphic way than you would normally see in a television show. It has that body positivity spin to it, and also just makes her a more interesting character, kind of taking charge in towards the end of the episode, just fully owning who she is and stop trying to hide who she is deep down. I think that this episode had the best performance from Zendaya. I thought she was excellent. The scenes where she is breaking down to Jules because she's upset about fighting with her with some really excellent acting, and then going to the next scene where she's struggling with her addiction and just dealing with the dealer not letting her in. That character's always been interesting to me, the drug dealer. He is almost like a guardian angel to her, even though he introduced her to this whole world and kind of essentially destroyed her life. He feels responsible in a way, and him trying to help her and her just losing it on him, seeing her completely break down when she's such a dull character. She's so low and just maintains that very monotone because she's always kind of sedated from her drugs. Her being in that withdrawal state and freaking out because she cannot get what she wants with some really excellent acting. As far as the elements of Jules' character and her relationship with Nate, that's going to become very interesting for me because I didn't honestly know in the previous episode if he knew who she was, and I'm still not fully understanding if he knows exactly who Jules is, but I didn't even know if he really knew that she was transgender, and him openly kind of admitting that he is gay in this episode was interesting, because obviously in the previous episode you show that he has such an insecurity with being around other men that it's kind of strange that now we're seeing kind of who he is and how he's going to deal with that. And then also knowing how Jules had an encounter with his father, if he's going to find out about that somehow, that would be really interesting. I think that's the most interesting plot line throughout this episode in this series, is how those two are going to come together and that kind of conflict and how that's going to rise. Like in the other episodes in this series, I think that the score for the show, the soundtrack for it, is really well done. It creates such a great atmosphere, and the cinematography of the show has always been really interesting, and I think it's doing another good job in this episode when you're having a lot of the shots where it's flipping upside down to characters laying on their back and it's spinning to another character while they're talking to them. I think it's really well done. It's classic of that A24 style, that kind of indie style of filmmaking. It's kind of more experimental, doesn't go around the mainstream routes. And I really enjoy that. I continue to enjoy it in this episode. One part that I thought was a little unnecessary because, like I said in the beginning, it's a very graphic show. And there is a segment where there's a lot of fourth wall breaking going on. And there's a part where she is just showing different pictures of male genitalia and what's good and what's bad, and that whole segment didn't really have any purpose other than to kind of shock and just show a bunch of really graphic pictures just for the sake of it. And I think this show does suffer from that at times. A lot of the graphic nature of it is necessary and it is impactful and it drives the story forward and develops the characters. And other times I think they're just doing it for shock value, and it doesn't necessarily bother me, but I don't understand the purpose of it, especially in that scene in particular. So this is another solid episode of Euphoria. I think it's an interesting show, and I think it's going to go some really cool places, and I want to see where it's going. I'm really hooked into it. I wasn't fully sold on the first 2 episodes. This one I found a little more interesting. So comment down below. Let me know what you think about the series so far. How did you feel about that whole Harry Styles segment? Because I think a lot of people were really talking about that. They were like, that's really was like the sticking point for this episode. Like the last episode had a lot of naked dudes in it. So I feel like each episode has something that is kind of hitting headlines. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.